A revolutionary. Say whoa. Trap revolutionary. Got the wave it too scary. Doing this thing like Malcolm ain't by any means necessary. We ain't got it by no one seen hand. We got the master plan. Get the movement going on. Right here where we stand, man. We bucking and stumping, fist pumping. Even though they tried to set us up for failure and kill us, we keep on coming. That's why somebody gotta step up and say something about the bullshit. Because if not, the blind gon' keep leaving.
What's going on, y'all? Y'all want to make this video about Supreme Court decision, Louisiana versus Callais. So, they ruled that basically like Section 2 of the voting 1965 Voting Rights Act of or Civil Rights Act of 1965 concerning voting rights, basically cannot be used for districting purposes, a minority redistricting purposes, and also, based on, color or whatever, based on a certain racial minority or group. So, this is like, man, something that, has been done, and not only is it going to affect Louisiana, but it's going to affect pretty much the nation, for sure, southern states. So, it's basically like a, evisceration or, erosion of civil rights acts, civil rights laws or whatever to help, black people, right, in voting. Because voting, like districts and stuff like that, it can be diluted. If you have, which they call cracking and packing, so you can end up having, a number of black voters in a district. And what happened, they can be diluted by, basically cracking the district. You can pretty much have like a majority of black people in a certain district or area, but they'll end up making, say for instance, it could be 90% black voters, but what they'll end up doing is making a B, C, D, and an E, then splitting that 90 all the way down, maybe 20% in, in District B, District C, 19%, District C, D, and E, all distributed, with another, 15%. So they done diluted that 90% all the way down to where there's no power. The black, because they'd have been split so much, it's like they cracked that particular voting strength, and they just done broke it down. So it's you're in that area, you won't be able to vote or get anything, as a particular group because your voting power has been diluted. So you won't be able to win anything, you know what I'm saying? So all those votes you cast pretty much won't mean anything because you've been split up. You've been pretty much cracked apart. Then they even said that with packing, it's in reverse. You can end up having, like I said, 90% voters in one area, and they packed them all in the same area. But they could have had an effect in these different districts if they would have pretty much like, made an even number, of, representation in these areas, with the population in these areas. But they packed all the voters in one area, so they can't even affect these other areas. So you lose out in that sense. So you're not going to even have power at all because you've been packed into a certain area, a certain district. So, man, it's crazy how it works because, it's getting to where it's just, it's like I said, it's an erosion of civil rights, man. And you have, predominantly white people that, are, you know, basic voting or bringing these issues up to the Supreme Court, you know, so they can pretty much redo everything, you know, based on a Republican format, you know, try to pretty much get Democrats out of power, get things, you know, maps redrawn or whatever, so the Republicans can basically dilute any Democratic power, any type of groups that can vote Democratic. Most of the time, you know, most black people do vote Democratic, to dilute that power so they can take control of these districts, of these areas, of these states, and then pretty much enact laws that will, you know, in what I explained before, to put us in some form of servitude, because that's basically what it's going. You know, it's not to just be mean, but the thing is to be able to pretty much control the narrative and impose their will on us as a people. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad that, and I said this too as well to someone today. It's sad that we went through slavery, faced Jim Crow, segregation, police brutality, mass incarceration. We've been slapped, kicked, and punched, and just brutalized all around. And we are still facing the same type of behavior, the same type of actions, you know, towards us today. Like it's really sad when you think. It's really sad when you think about it. Like we've endured all of this, and you're still trying to impose certain things on us to just weaken us and break us down, you know. And like I said, you have certain white people that are hell bent on us being subservient to them, you know, in some form or fashion. So, you know, that's why I say it's very important for us to take action and do something about it, instead of just like, hey, well, they got it, they gonna, you know, man, ain't no we can do about it. No, it's very, very much so. It's something we can do about it, you know, on a political level as well as a grassroots level. And I'll say connect the two, you know what I mean? Because we've been voting, you know, and even voting, that's a controlled response, you know, and not something that, you know, basically that is really getting us anywhere, because of what, and they're being very cunning and conniving and even savvy with it, you know, with the way they're doing it, so they can control, like I said, they can control the voting, get pretty much a Republican dominated, you know, House of Representatives, whatever you want to see in the state, in the Senate, in the state legislatures, you know, in these certain districts, so they can impose certain laws, certain regulations, or whatever it may be, so they can have us in some type of subservient position. You know, and it may not take the form of slavery, the way the physical slavery was, but some type of level of servitude, or like I said, a subservient position. So, you know, I would say, man, you know, from a political standpoint, it has to be something done. And I would say on the grassroots level, it has to be something done. And us to be able to, you know, connect with each other and bond with each other, you know, and also become aware, like me, you know, making a video and becoming aware. Like I literally just became aware of it today, and I did my research on it. Like, oh yeah, I got to say something about it, because it's too much at stake. And like I said, for some white people, it doesn't matter. It don't matter how long it takes, but to have us in a subservient position, that some of them are hell bent on that. And then and this is the problem as well, which I mentioned to a friend. Some white people, they may not be hell bent on it, but they are not going to say anything. So for you and your black son to be in slavery or to be in some form of servitude to them, they're not going to say anything. They may not institute it. They may not try to make something, or engender or come up with some type of format or program, to harm you, but they're not going to say anything if that happens. You know what I'm saying? And that's a problem as well. So, yeah, we have to do something about it. We gotta be able to and understand and bring awareness about it. You see what I'm saying? Because like I said, it's going to be to where it's going to be a slow, steady grind, a slow process, but eventually to where they'll wrap around us like a snake and choke us out. Simply, like a python, and straight up choke us out. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's very necessary that we be aware of it and we do something about it. Because this is what's going on. And I understand some of us we don't know. But I know, unless you've been on a rock somewhere, you've heard about MAGA. You know what I'm saying? You've heard MAGA. You've heard about Trump. So that right there, you can't absolve yourself and say, oh, well, I didn't know. I didn't know this. I didn't know about, what they're really trying to do or possibly could do. It's harm. They trying to bring down the pipe. It's some form of fashion they want the society for them and to basically bring us in some type of subservient position. Black and brown people in some type of form of servitude or some type of subservient, marginalized position. So, and that brings me, like I said, even with the MAGA situation, you're talking about, to Trump and others like him. You're talking about making America great again, but how can you make a nation great when you marginalize a part of the nation, a percentage of the population of the nation, and the fact that you have Mexican people, you have brown people that's doing it, and this how it goes. The part of the economy, you're destroying that part. They do the most of the construction jobs. They're laying all this concrete. They're basically laying the foundation for highways and different roads and stuff like that. Because y'all not gonna even get out there and do it. Even us, even black folk. Black folk ain't really trying to get out there and do that. So even that's part of the economy. You're basically getting rid of. You see what I'm saying? And even with us, us providing certain genes, certain level of education and intelligence for the nation, to make the nation shine, to make the nation even grow, even better. You see what I'm saying? Because we bring a certain element to society. Not only are we bringing education like science, and also in certain aspects of the government, but we're bringing actually situations where we're actually building business. We're doing things in certain positions now, and also entering tech. You know what I'm saying? So we're doing things to contribute to the nation. You know what I'm saying? Same thing in the sense of you have positions or certain things that have been created by us. You know what I'm saying? We could bring a certain level of genius to the nation to help the nation even further, instead of just trying to marginalize us or have us in some type of subservient position to where it's like, oh, we don't want you, or we want to make sure we keep you down, in under us. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's like, come on, man. You can't make the nation great if you marginalize and you sit up here and you brutalize a certain percentage of your population. How can you make the nation great? So that's even in name, to even say, you know what I mean? Make America great again. But the same thing, in saying that, you're really saying make America great by basically you get brown people out the way. You know what I'm saying? Get brown and black people out the way, or in a position where you can just handle them at will. Have your way in whatever way that you want with them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, nah, man, it's not. We're not accepting that, and it's unacceptable. To even accept anything like that, it's unacceptable. And so we can continue to talk about it, continue to try to vote about it, but in some sense, man, you gotta take action. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes the politics, it's a controlled response too. Voting, having to say, oh, well, you got to vote about it. Okay, but then now you can't vote about it because the district's been changed. Section 2 of the 1965 Voting Rights Act has been, pretty much eradicated or eroded to where you're not going to have any power, to be able to vote like you need to. You know what I'm saying? because your district's you're gonna end up being watered down, crack the pack in the district. That's basically what it is. Like I said, you're gonna be crack the pack in a district, so you don't have any vote. Your voting power is gonna be diluted. See what I'm saying? That's why the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was basically signed into law, so we would have some type of voting power to be able to change things for us, to benefit us, But without that, it's like, okay, then what? All of that becomes diluted. Then you have a Republican-dominated, Senate or whatever, or legislature, start enacting laws. And then those laws affect us negatively. They impact us negatively. See what I'm saying? And so in that sense, you can basically have us in a subservient position. I'm not just talking just to be talking. Or I'm angry. I'm saying this can be institutionalized. You see what I'm saying? It can be basically legislated. See what I'm saying? So yeah, it's not me just talking, but I'm talking because this is something that's, like I said, you got people that's, it don't matter how long it takes, but we're going to do it slowly but surely. You see what I'm saying? And it's starting now. You see it now. With Louisiana versus Callais, they done pretty much like eroded that's, like I said, the Section 2, so we could have some form of voting voting significance and voting strength to be able to benefit us. See what I'm saying? But now it's like, okay, then now what? And not only that, you got people like Kevin Roberts. This dude done went to PhD in African American Studies and slavery, and this dude writes Project 2025. So basically, to take control of the federal government and a Republican, conservative Republican government is what he wants. You see what I'm saying? So you already know what that means. It's pretty much like, okay, we trying to make sure black folk out the way, other people out the way, and we can take control and do it how we want to do it. And that's at the expense of you all, or at the negative impact on you all, or at the at the demise of you all, or whatever it may be, in whatever case it may be. But we want a conservative, Republican dominated government. You see what I'm saying? So that's just the way it's going, at the expense of you all. That's just the way it's going. So yeah, and something has to be said about it, man. You know what I'm saying? And we have to do something about it. And I'm not just talking, like, I'm talking about getting on it, like today. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, like getting on it. So yeah, we can't continue to allow this to happen, man. And then, like I said, a slowly but surely strangulation is occurring. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I had to make this video, man. It's like, yeah, some got to be done, and we got to come on with it. We got to come on with it. It ain't no just, I'm gonna let them take care of it. Don't worry about it. They got it. No. We all got to work. You know what I'm saying, to make something happen. Because if not, this is what we're gonna be end up, like I said, like a python done wrap whole body around us, and we out of there. We done got choked out. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna get up out of here. I just want to make this video, bring awareness, bring some type of motivation, bring some type of inspiration, man, for us to do something about it. So I would say, contact whoever you can, state representative, whoever you can right now, and get something going on this. Your people in your community, you know what I'm saying? Right. Get together and write, your state representative, whoever you can, senator or whatever you can do, like right now about it. You know what I'm saying? And start forming, and also start forming a think tank. Because this fool, Kevin Roberts, like I said, he got with a think tank. The think tank to create Project 2025. He was riding with a think tank on that. You know what I'm saying? This fool done, like I said, he done PhD in African American Studies in slavery, and wrote Project 2025, talking about they want a Republican dominated government, conservative Republican dominated government. So yeah, we need to form some think tank, because like while I'm getting on here talking about the problem, I'm gonna bring some solutions too. So yeah, we need to form a think tank as well, man. Like I'm so serious when I say that, you know. And matter of fact, I'm gonna be reaching out to my homeboys that see my video. I'm gonna be hollering at you. You know what I'm saying? We need to come up with something like for real, because I'm not going back to slavery. I can tell you that. You know what I'm saying? My people, we not going. Whoever we not going, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it is, you know. Not me, no, not mine, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna get up off here. I appreciate y'all out there that's looking at my videos, man, showing me love, sharing my video. I appreciate it, you know. So I'm just, just want to get on here and make this video for y'all, man, and just bring awareness to this issue. But anyway, until the next one, y'all. Like I said, I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all out there doing well, living life for the love and happiness, doing well, strive for greatness, being great, like strive for greatness every day. Until next one, y'all, love y'all. All right, y'all.
Fuck it, go ahead and blow off the dough. Step through the maze, man, and became amazing. About to rewrite history and change a page in a crooked book that never told us the true story. Like how we were kings and queens before the slave story, before the killing, stealing, and drug dealing on some real shit. We ran the world.